Good morning, happy Monday, and welcome into the number one Group of Five college football podcast ever. This is the Group of Five guys, and our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs, the voice that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need everybody's help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of Five guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a 5-star rating, leave a review, tell your family and friends all about us, or you can download the Varsity app for free. Listen to the show on there. On this episode, we are going to recap an amazing trip to Toledo for the Battle of I-75, Bowling Green at Toledo. We're going to recap some wild games. UNLV, Boise State, Friday night got us started. Plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible. The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of Five.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the Group of Five programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of Five because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
Jeff, what were we doing driving to the airport on Sunday morning in Hawaii and Nevada? We're still playing.
Yes. I was like, what is this? What is going on?
I was like, let me make sure I get some stuff ready for Monday's show. I'm like, Jeff, Hawaii's still in the fourth quarter.
Unbelievable.
3:30 in the morning.
Eastern time, so obviously, playing out west. That was crazy. That's so late. Or early? Yeah, I don't even know what you call that.
They got so what time would they that must be it's a 7:30 kickoff local time for them?
I would imagine.
Or maybe even earlier, actually. Because that means it's starting at midnight. It did start at midnight Eastern time. I don't know. I don't know this.
Yeah, it doesn't tell me what time.
Maybe a 6 p.m. local start. But anyway, they got to do something. They got to maybe only have noon local home starts. I mean, if you want people to watch.
Yeah.
I'm
sure the locals, though, probably like that. I mean, I always like an afternoon kick, especially when it's nice.
Yeah, well, that's true. They're probably not dealing with any cold weather or anything, but I don't know. I'm just sitting there thinking, man, if they got if Colt Brennan's walking through the door and they got a Heisman candidate, and damn well the pollsters aren't watching.
No, they're sound
at that
asleep.
hour. You sound asleep. I mean, and me, I've been asleep back awake at that point. I mean, I'll tell you what, but yeah, all jokes aside, I'm tired. This season is wearing me out a little bit. I'm definitely enjoying it, but when we travel, it's tough. And then, of course, yesterday I had to get the extra early flight because I had obligations with the family on Sunday. But that's why we partnered with Decker Gray Coffee Company. Visit DeckerGray.com. Get you your Group of Five guys game day dark roast, custom blend, roast to order when you click purchase and put it in your cart. It's not sitting on a shelf somewhere, but it's actually really good coffee. I'm drinking it black. This is the game day roast. Visit DeckerGray.com. Use our promo code GOFG. They'll give you 10% off plus free shipping.
Need it.
What a weekend.
Yeah.
What a weekend, Jeff. We got kind of a lot to talk about. First thing I wanted to bring up real fast was, you see the AP poll come out, and I know the AP poll, quote unquote, doesn't matter, but let's not pretend like the playoff committee is not going to look at where the AP had teams ranked when they look at the resume. And everybody's all up in arms. Why is Missouri still ranked? This and that. Of course, we know why Missouri's still ranked. That's why after Alabama lost their second game, there was no conversation about anything other than how does Alabama still make the playoffs with 2 losses? Well, here's how. We just rank everybody that they lose to or everybody that they play, rank them in the top 25. And, that way their resume looks good. And I don't care. I mean, Alabama, they might be one of the top 12 teams. I don't know. But again, here's my thing is this, like we've been saying for a long time, with all this conference realignment, with these super conferences, with the Big Ten and the SEC, like even you other SEC teams, right? It's not you. You're not the one. Okay. It's Georgia, it's Alabama, it's Texas. Those are their cash cows. So they're going to do whatever it takes to get them. Look at the ACC. ACC fans are all worked up because they think that Miami's gotten a bunch of, calls their way to affect a game. And they have. Why? Because the ACC is looking at their big brands, Clemson, Miami, and Florida State's just too bad to even get the benefit of the doubt. But those are the ones they're talking about when they talk about all this. When those conferences are pounding their chest, and then you just kind of little brother standing behind big brother talking about, yeah, me, SEC. It ain't you. It's your big brother.
That's exactly right.
That's the whole thing with that. And go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, like, in this day and age of conspiracy theories and all the things that are going on in our world, and it's like one of my favorite groups of all time, the Wu-Tang Clan. Cash rules everything around me. You don't think that that the commissioners are having conversations with their referees, and when Miami's playing a cow and there's a clear targeting and you don't call it? Like, I find it hard to believe that there's not motives with some of these teams when you just go back and look at the blatant missed calls. And I think you're right. I think it's to keep these teams up and keep other teams down, and they want the big brands in it, and especially the ACC. Like we gotta have 2 teams in it.
Yeah.
So
well, and here's the thing too, for those fan bases that are going to get all worked up. Like we're not saying that an Alabama or a Georgia or a Miami or Clemson are not the best teams in your conference. Like I'm not saying that they're not good. What I'm saying is the calls are making sure that the good teams don't lose because they got to have. You see what I'm saying here, Jeff? Yeah. And that's why that's why nobody liked this conference champion, got to be a conference champion thing, because it allows for the upset. And God forbid we get an upset and we get somebody make a run that they don't want to be there. That's what this whole thing's all about. But
yeah, so what?
I digress, Jeff.
Boise moves up 2 spots, correct? They were at 17. So, they're now at 15.
But they stayed at 19 in the coaches poll.
Did they?
Yeah, which I typically like the coaches poll better because you at least think they're like coaches. They know ball, but they're of course they're biased.
Yeah, of course. Their buddies are on other staffs. They want they'll rank a team that beat them higher in the coaches poll because it makes their team look better.
Yeah, or they'll rank their rival lower just out of spite and all those things. I mean,
it's human beings. There's always going to be biased, and Army moves up.
Not spots. Us though, Jeff. I've never been biased. I honestly
never a day in my life.
And look, to the coaches and to the AP writers that vote in the poll, we do a poll every week with just the group of 5 teams. And look, it's damn near impossible because anytime you put it out, you got somebody thinks, like right now we got a bunch of Old Dominion fans in our mentions saying, well, they just blew out Georgia Southern. Yeah, but that's not the only game they've played. And they play, honestly, that's the first time they've played somebody probably to their potential all year, because they always play up or down to their competition. So you can't just base it on, well, they beat them, so they got to be ranked higher. So, well, they got like 2 more losses than they do also.
Yeah, one of them's bad.
Yeah, and that's part of it too, right? Because I know I was waiting for how can you have Memphis ahead of Navy when Navy beat Memphis? To me, Memphis losing by a score to Navy is not as bad as Navy just getting absolutely blown out by Notre Dame. So that's where I would put Navy below them. Their loss is worse, even though they beat them head to head. It's not like Navy's undefeated and beat Memphis. So, I don't know. It's tough to do, but you can't please everybody, and you can't base your poll off of who beat who. If the resumes are identical and one of them won head to head, then sure, you could do it. But you can't do it when there's other factors involved, and then or if you were playing really good at the beginning of the season, now you're not playing very good, or you're playing pretty bad, and now all of a sudden you're playing good. You got to look at the whole body of work, Jeff.
Yes, you do.
But let's look at this.
No, you're good.
Go ahead. I was going to say, let's look at this Toledo trip. What a time, man. We talked about it when we had Brian Blair on Saturday, but what an example, right, of how to do things as far as environment goes. I mean, they're doing it so well at Toledo that they've got Bowling Green upset that the band was not being able to play enough. They're playing music over the band. But no, here's the thing. It's funny, man. This is one of the reasons we love doing this, because we have an example of what we experienced, right? And you think that's the way it is. You think, oh, that's the group of five. That's what we do. That's the environment that we have. But then you go across the country and you see schools that do it right. You see schools that don't do it right. And it's just talking about the whole campus, right? You have Brian Blair on, and what did he say about athletics is basically there to expand the reach of the university. And I said it, and we talked about it, and then Brian Blair came on and he talked about it. Is they've set it up to where it's catered for the students. Students have their zone, and they have the best 3-4 years of their life on those home game Saturdays or Tuesdays, and then they come back and they've hopefully met their wife there, and they've had a family, and they started working there. And it's just amazing when you see it done right. And it just makes you think, like, it doesn't. I mean, I'm not discrediting anybody, but a lot of it is not rocket science, no pun intended, Toledo rocket science. But it's kind of, to me and to you, Jeff, it seems obvious a lot. Like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you play music between plays? What do you mean? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you immediately start a song right after the whistle blows? Or why wouldn't you have a tradition where you sing kind of a university-related song together as a crowd? Of course, everybody should do it, right? But unfortunately, no, not everybody's doing it. And it's, you go from the tailgate, you go from them all singing Rocket Man, the little dunk tank, having little gimmicks and stuff like that. They're doing the students, of course, are doing their little first down chant, which I bet you the older crowd thinks might be a little inappropriate at times. But you know what? The students are the ones that are making noise on third down. Okay. Let them do what they want to do. And, but anyway, what a great environment. I mean, sellout crowd. It was loud in there. It was hostile in there, and then we'll get into it in a minute, but credit to Bowling Green for going in there and clearly looking like the better team.
Yeah, and appreciate Brian Blair inviting us, helping us set it up. Paul for giving me the tour Friday, and I got to tour the facilities. I'm going to play this video clip while I talk about it, but it's just awesome to see a university and a campus that just get it top to bottom. I got to just kind of walk around. I'm a big fan of architecture, and I love, when we went to Miami of Ohio last year, I kind of felt the same way. Like, and this is different style, but just really unique buildings, very clean. You got the fall foliage coming in, and you could just tell there was a buzz on campus. And then you look at the stadium, they have that old stone that wraps around the entire stadium, really cool atmosphere. And it's a perfect size for the group of five, right? Like when we were in that game atmosphere, I can't remember the final number it was, but it just feels like a big time environment, which it is. But the stadium, everybody's just right on top of each other. It's loud. They got fireworks. They got all this stuff that just adds to the game day atmosphere. And then got to check out the weight room. Super nice stuff. The meeting rooms. We got to see Quinyon Mitchell's picture in the hallway there. And just really, really great great environment top to bottom. And it just, all the little details make the difference. It makes it feel like when a recruit's on campus or they come and tour the facilities, like, wow, like they really take care of not only their facilities, but they take care of their players as well. So if I come here, I'm going to get this is first class treatment. You know, it all goes in and factors into a kid ultimately making the decision that I'm going to spend hopefully the next 4 years here and contribute to building this program. Whereas, you know, other schools are bringing kids in and well, this is really nice, but man, this looks old, or it looks like they don't care. You know, if they don't care about this, they're not going to care about me. So, you know, it's all the little details that I think, you know, Toledo has, and it's why they've been able to sustain success for so long. But then you have the people and the powers that be that also get it, and they're building on top of it. You know, they're building a new facility for some of their other sports. They have an indoor. They have the investment from the community. Their fans come back and they want to be a part of it, and they demand success, and that's part of it as well. So, you know, it's just really, it was just really a great environment. And then, you know, we get in there and the music's cranked up loud, and, you know, it's just really a phenomenal game. We were sitting there at warm-ups, kind of just walking around, and we usually do our, you know, Sprouse does his calf and glutes check. And, you know, I just got to say, Bowling Green, they are big, especially up front. Was really impressed with the physical size of that offensive line. And you saw it when the game went on, you saw how physical that offensive line was. You saw how athletic Harold Fannin Jr. was. And I think ultimately that was the game. Was they were physically outmatched a little bit. But yeah, you know, Sprouse, when we were walking pregame, there's a couple guys that really caught your eye on the old calf and glute check.
Well, Jeff, Terrion Stewart we may now have to name the award after him. We may have to call it the Terrion Stewart glute and calf check, because that dude, I mean, he ain't anything more than about 5'6", 5'7", but that dude is built. I mean, he looks like a little, you know, a Darren Sproles. I honestly, what I'd tell you, he looks like freaking Saquon in a miniature version. Yeah. I mean, that dude's legs were unbelievable, and he had some big time powerful runs. And then Harold Fannin, yeah, I mean, he looks the type, right? He's tall, long. But I tell you this, the guy, and usually these guys are not necessarily going to pass any kind of a glute and calf per se test, but Alex Padgett, the center at Bowling Green. First, we saw him, you know, the centers and quarterbacks come out first, typically, right? In a pregame, for those of you that don't get into the stadium, you know, an hour or so before kickoff, typically after your specialists go out there and kick it around a little bit, your centers and quarterbacks come out, do a little snap. What's the noose? What we called it, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what that is?
Noose.
And so they're just kind of warming up a little bit. And this dude, Padgett, man, I mean, he's got to be 6'6" or 6'7", got to be 320, 330. Look, honestly, Jeff, built a lot like our boy Josh Walker was.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, about that size and playing center. And then they run a screen down coming right towards us into the Toledo student section. And he this is how you know how athletic and mobile he is. He gets out on a block, but he kind of, the other linemen, they both sort of pick up the same guy and they just bury him. Well, Padgett kind of stays on his feet, kind of spins around, kind of like flips his hips like a little corner. And then he takes Maxon Hook, who's a damn good player, but unfortunately is about half the size. And he just takes his ass all the way from about the numbers all the way into the cheerleaders on the sideline there. A little bit post whistle,
Set the tone, though. That was early in the game.
But that's something, especially as a center, man, to be able to get out in open space like that, to be able to pull, to get out there on screens, to keep your feet, to be able to square up and block a defensive back like that. Normally, as a lineman, you get out on a screen, all you're trying to do is kind of run out there and just hopefully your back can set you up, and you don't even really have to lock on to somebody. You just kind of take up space. But man, he really locked on two guys on that one play. We both were like, damn.
Yeah,
that dude. And I don't know. I haven't even really looked
at the club, you know.
trying to look and see if he's got the NFL grades and stuff already. I don't know, but man, he's an NFL guy. I could tell you that much.
No doubt. He looked good. And from early on, we were sitting there watching pregame and start of the game, and we kind of just looked at each other like, Bowling Green,
Yeah.
they pass the eye test at multiple different positions. Receiver, running back, offensive line, defensive, the defensive unit. And ultimately that was kind of the story of the game. They made more plays, than Toledo did, and was opportunistic as well, had the pick six right before halftime, and ultimately it came out on top. But Toledo never gave up. They were fighting hard, kept coming back, climbing back in it. They just ultimately couldn't make enough plays.
Kind of almost ran out of juice. But you're right, Jeff. I mean, we were looking back and forth, and Toledo's got some dudes now. They got that Bolden kid, 31.
Yeah.
He looks the part. Darius Alexander absolutely looks the part. But look, to be real with you, that was sort of the matchup. We talked about Bowling Green's offensive line and Darius Alexander and that. And he, I mean, you got to watch the film to really know, right? But as far as like impact on the game and everything, I mean, I don't really recall anything, where that Toledo defense did a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I think Bowling Green's offensive line controlled that thing.
Yeah, they did. And boy, Harold Fannin Jr., as advertised. I mean, he made some great catches, got the ball in his hands in space. I mean, he was making guys miss. He catches that little shovel pass down at the goal line, just jumps over. Like a tired dude. Yeah. A guy that big to be that nimble. I mean, you see why he's going to be a draft pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he made some catches where Basilak threw it a little behind him at times. And man, what a guy to have. Yep. What a guy to have. And they got some guys too. You're right. We had some receivers that looked apart. Toledo does too. Toledo's tight end,
Anthony Torres.
Yeah, he's a big cat too. He's a big body too. Not nearly as athletic, as a Fannin, but
Jawan Newton's special too now. Their receiver. I mean, he made a one-handed catch. I mean, bunch of big plays. He was the main big play guy they had on Saturday.
And Bowling Green's got a single-digit interior defensive lineman too, number 5. He made some plays. They definitely do, man. I mean, we happened to be staying at the same hotel as Bowling Green. And so we were seeing them in the halls and stuff. There are a couple of their linebackers were, kind of over by the hotel restaurant bar area, like meeting with their family and stuff like that. And they definitely look it, man. They definitely looked the part, and they played it for sure on Saturday. But I don't know what else, Jeff. I dropped off for a second there. I don't know what the hell's going on with me, Jeff.
You're having issues. No, but we just want to thank, definitely want to give some shout outs. Rocket Ryan, got to meet him and check out the bus. Dan the Rocket Man Savage for hosting us kind of and coming on our show Saturday after Brian Blair and just everybody we met. Thank you guys so much. It was an awesome, if you gave us a recommendation, we checked it out. Hollywood Casino, phenomenal. If you ever go to Toledo, you got to go check out the casino, watch some games in the sports book, shake some dice. No, it was such a great weekend, such a great trip. With kids, it's making it tougher and tougher just because we got to get back. As soon as I got off the plane, I went straight to the football field, coach flag football for my boys. But no, it was a great trip.
Yeah, Jeff and I mean, we did play as we're growing up. We've been playing it a lot smarter. Yeah. Typically when we first started 2-3 years ago going to these games, Saturday after the game, we'd want to go out, check the bar scene out. And we did, don't get me wrong, like we were in that casino. I mean, we watched the UNLV Boise game in the casino, and we saw the Freddie Freeman Grand Slam walk-off at the sports book. That was a pretty cool deal. And then
went to a bunch of restaurants while we were there.
Yeah, but then of course Saturday after the game, we grabbed food to go. From Tony Paco's. Jeff got a couple hot dogs. I got like an open face roast beef deal. And we went straight back to the hotel and watched the rest of the games there. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was falling in and out of sleep from about 7:30 p.m. until 2 a.m. when the alarm clock went off. And then, we left the hotel for the airport at about 3. Watched the end of the Hawaii game at that point. And then, I mean, I was straight to Atlanta, drove home. I was in Atlanta by like 7. I was at the house by like 9 a.m. and immediately started decorating the swing set for a Halloween party. So a little bit drowsy, a little tired, but love it, man. I'll tell you though, Jeff, I like flying early in the morning like that because security's so easy. There's nobody. All the idiots are not there yet. You got to be a certain level of mature to be traveling at 5 a.m. like that. Because I got to tell you, airports, man, I got big problems. I got a couple things I got to get off my chest. Number one, it's starting to piss me off. Okay, you're on the Delta. I'm usually in like zone 5 or 6, right? One of the regular people. Boarding zones, and then you always got the guy that's got the Delta pass or whatever the hell he's got, the priority pass, and it's like we're in the last zone, we're boarding. Okay, there's like 10 people left to board, and Big Shot comes like running super late and just skips the line and scans his little pass like, I'm a Continental member, whatever the hell. And it's like bro, you're like an hour late, like your people already boarded half an hour ago, pal.
Yeah.
Like, they gotta make sure they skip the line and go to the other side.
Everybody's got to know.
We got to know that they're a priority guy. And then you got the people. Look, everybody wants to bring a carry-on bag. I think the test for the carry-on bag is you should get to the check-in and you should have to hold the bag over your head, because if you can't put your own bag, if you can't carry it on, it's not a carry-on. You get to check the damn thing. So I'm in there, Jeff. This is on the way to Detroit. And I'm having to get like 5 different people's bags out of the overhead, because they're also like, they'll go to the back and put their thing up, and then they'll go sit 3 rows in front. So then you're trying to get off the plane, and they're trying to go against like a salmon swimming upstream, and they're trying to get their bag. And so I'm getting their bags. Then you got a little old lady that can't do it. And I'm just like, guys, I like a damn hero on this plane. But then they all stand up. Do you stand up as soon as they turn off the seatbelt thing?
No, not usually. It just depends.
Yeah, then
if I'm in the aisle, my knees are barking. Yeah, I might stand up. But
then Jeff, I gotta say one more thing. I know we got to get going. We got football to talk about. But on the way back, okay, so I was in the very back row on the way back to Atlanta, and the whole time I kept getting a whiff of like a stench. But I'm sitting right next to the lavatory. So I'm like, well, maybe somebody took a deuce in there on the last flight and it's just got a bad aroma. Wasn't terrible, but it was like a little stench. And I just, I deal with it, whatever. I watch my movie. And then I would get up, and there's a guy 2 rows in front of me, shoes off on the plane.
That's the worst.
I mean, you got to have some couth, man.
Nothing,
no home training.
Nothing worse than the aroma of feet in an enclosed airplane.
Yeah.
It's like have some self-respect.
They stuff you in there. And, I'm already, dude, I hate it. I always feel bad. I know that when I come through the door, people are like, oh, no, I'm going to have to sit by that guy. And on the flight to Detroit, I'm up there and I make eye contact with this other big guy who's in the aisle, and there's a middle seat available. And I'm like, oh, no, that's my seat. We make eye contact and we both just start cracking up. And we're like, yep, it's me, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, feet. And then like, I don't know, man. And then people are always putting their chair all the way back. And I get it. The chairs go back for a reason, right? You're allowed to do it. But I don't know, man. No thought of anybody else. And you have like 200 people on this stuffed in this plane. And like your first thought is like, let me take my shoes off and lean my chair all the way back and make everybody else's trip miserable because I just, anyway. Weekend got started with Georgia Southern going down on Thursday night to Old Dominion. Old Dominion. This quarterback, Jeff.
Colton Joseph. Kojo as they're calling him on the socials. I like him. I want to see more of it. Can he continue and replicate that? Because let me tell you, if he can perform like that, not only throwing the ball, but running the ball, Old Dominion has been a quarterback short the last like 3 or 4 years, and they probably would have been winning the Sun Belt. And now it looks like they might have one. Mm-hmm. Look out.
Well, now they're in first place in the East.
Yes, they are.
And we said that, since he's been in, he gave them a little spark about halfway through the year so far. And yeah, playing good ball. It's the first game they actually blew somebody out. They didn't play a 3 to 7 point game, but so Old Dominion gets a big Sun Belt win on Thursday night. Then on Friday night, man, the spectacle that it was, and I think it lived up to the hype. I think
Absolutely.
it absolutely lived up to the hype. Boise State goes down to UNLV, gets the win. UNLV in their 2 losses has just gotten hurt with like some very untimely turnovers and penalty. You know, they play so well, and that's what we talk about. It's like one play here or one play there that really swings the game. And they had that interception in their own territory right before the half, gave up points there. And I know they came back and took the lead, but man, those are big swings in games. And, you know, say what you want about Genty not having a good game. I mean, he still had a good game for anybody else's standards. But you know, we both walked away impressed with UNLV's defense. Jackson Woodard, special play. I think their defense earned more respect than anybody in that game.
Agreed.
Even though Boise got the win.
I mean, they showed up and was physical. They were taking it to Genty. I mean, you could just see it on the damn television. I mean, hit after hit after hit. They were like, we're not letting you, get loose. And for the most part, they did that. 33 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown were Genty's stats. Great day still, not knocking it. And they got the win ultimately, and that's really all that matters. But that's what we were a little bit worried. Like, can this UNLV defense hold up? And I thought they did. They were in the game. They had a chance to win it. They took the lead late. But I think the story was, could Maddox Madsen answer the call when Genty's being stymied? And it's not, throughout the game, but it was a handful of plays and throws. And I thought he did. I thought he made some great throws in man coverage. Had the touchdown, didn't turn it over, most importantly. It seems like they made the right decision at the beginning of the season to go with Madsen. So shout out to Boise State. Still think UNLV is a damn good team and one of the best teams in the group of 5.
Yeah, I agree. And Madsen, he had the one throw that Jackson Woodard, it went right through his hands and ended up being one of the better plays for Boise's offense.
Yeah.
But that was probably the one of the throws he missed. It worked out for him. But yeah, I mean, that was the question mark, because now what's he going to do now? If they play UNLV again or whoever, or if they find themselves in the playoff, then you get a Georgia or a Texas or an Alabama or somebody that thinks that they can do it, thinks they're talented enough to not have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's where you just hope Madsen can make those throws. And he, test number 1 passed. All right. Other stuff, Navy guys, what are we doing? That's tough. I mean, Notre Dame's been playing good ball, but that was a tough showing for Navy. I mean, 2 interceptions early, 3 turnovers right off the bat. I mean, that puts you out of the game right away. I mean, they got down 21-7 right away. And so, and then you're just trying to fight back. And yeah, they can throw it better than a typical Navy team, but not like that.
No.
Not to where you can get out there and throw it all over the place.
Exactly. And then that's just really what it was. And then it just kind of got out of hand after that. And you hate to see, one of your best teams get bludgeoned like that, but it is what it is. You still got 1 loss. It's not a conference loss, so everything you want is still in front of you. Just for, I guess, the perception wise goes, you definitely hate to see it. They just couldn't really get that offense going, man. They just kind of got out physical, turn it over. It's a recipe for a long day.
So interested to see now a couple of things. What do some of the American teams take? What does a Tulane take from Notre Dame as far as stopping that offense? What does Army take from Navy's offense and some of their struggles as they go and play Notre Dame later in the season? And then what does Notre Dame do? Do they think Army's exactly the same as Navy? Do you know what I mean? Is there a potential for them to relax a little bit that week of practice? So look out for a couple of those things as we get later into the season. Another kind of headline game is ULM finally, I guess, came back to earth a little bit. And South, we knew South should be good. We knew South should play them well, but they did. And they credit to their offensive line and their 2 backs, because they ran it all over the place.
This is the South Alabama team we've been talking about. And they just, I don't know why they haven't been able to be consistent. But man, this is what they can do. They can put up a lot of points. They're going to pound you on the ground. I mean, Gio Lopez had a very average day throwing the ball, but you didn't need it because you had 200-yard rushers, and Kentrell Bullock and Fluff Bothwell both got in the end zone twice. And then Gio got in the end zone as well. So just a dominant performance on the ground against a Monroe team that had a lot of momentum. But man, this shakes things up in the Sun Belt West. South's got a shot in this.
East and West.
Yeah.
With Georgia Southern going down to Old Dominion and now Monroe going down. I mean, both are wide open. Both have multiple teams that sort of are in control of their own destiny here. I wanted to hit one more thing, Jeff, on because we talked about Boise and we talked about Toledo, and this is kind of a combo topic. So when we had Brian Blair come on the show and we talked about Quinyon Mitchell being, such a great representation for not only Toledo, not only the MAC, but the entire group of five, and staying and developing and being successful. And he talked about, the success that he had last year, then the success he had at the Senior Bowl, getting drafted as high as he did, and now being as successful as he is on the Eagles. According to Brian Blair, he doesn't think the Toledo defense stays intact as much as it does, if not for Quinyon Mitchell. And he's been freaking beating the Toledo drum since he's been in the headlines. And, Brian Blair thinks that guys like that are going to be a reason more kids might stay. And then you go to Boise and look at what Ashton Genty is doing and what he's saying. And it's all the right things. He's beating the Boise State and the group of five drum and saying, look, man, you can go anywhere. If you can play, you can play, and you can leave a legacy at Boise State more so than you could do at some of the other places. And so I'm loving these star players having success in college. We know damn well they're getting tampered with. Damn well they're enticed to go somewhere else in college, but they don't. They stay. And then they have success again. And then they go to the league, get drafted highly, have success in the league, and they're still just repping for their school. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think it's a trend that we may start seeing.
I hope it is. And of course, everybody's situation is different. But I think that if you were to look at the success numbers of guys making it into the NFL from the group of five conferences, this is the blueprint. Stay at a place that you're comfortable, that the offense or defensive scheme, that you're going to have the same amount of snaps. Stats aren't guaranteed, but snaps can be. If you're a top guy and you're coming back, you're going to have equal amount of snaps, which is in turn going to give you the stats that you need and the film you need to make it to the next level where you're going to make your most money. Now, you got guys that are middle of the road that are fringe guys, or you're small or something, that's something you got to weigh out. Now, if a school's offering you a bunch of money and you realistically I don't know if I got a shot at the NFL, I'm going to take this $150,000. That's a choice you got to make, and you got to weigh those options. But I think in the long run, building a legacy, building relationships in a community that you've been there already 2-3 years, furthering that. And then when you graduate, you have that network of people to build off of and ultimately build a great life. Because that's what it's about. It's building a great life for the future. Yes, everybody wants to make it to the NFL, but the percentages of guys doing that is very, very small. But if you're bouncing around one year to the next, to the next, to the next, you don't have the time to build those relationships with businesses or people in the community because they don't know you. You hadn't been there long enough. You hadn't been out. So it's just, I love it, and I hope they continue to do it. Shout out to these guys, man, Genty and Mitchell.
And the number one thing I think you can do is get some of these slime ball agents out of your ear.
Yes.
I'm not saying all agents are slime balls, but you gotta vet that, and you gotta consult with the people that you trust, the people that have been there for your whole life for you. I'm not saying to disown or not listen to your relatives or your family, but if they haven't had advice for you and now all of a sudden they got advice for you, you better tune that out. Your high school coaches are always, it's typically a good one, right? Those are typically guys that, they have nothing else really to gain from your success, but they help you get there. And typically those are guys you can trust. Your college coaches, they got motives. But I think you can find a position coach or somebody that you do trust that can give you that advice. But man, your high school buddies and your long lost uncle and your long lost neighborhood friend, sorry, but you gotta get rid of those cats. You just got to. Anyway, Jeff, should we talk a little bit of football here?
Let's do it. It's a
We got to
football
roll
show.
quickly here. I know we got some voicemails to get to. Memphis and Charlotte. Charlotte, we said this about 4 or 5 weeks ago. They got to stick with that kid at quarterback to have a chance. They went with him again. Purdy?
Deshaun Purdy.
Deshaun Purdy. He keeps them in games. And Memphis, I'm not going to say anything negative about Memphis, Jeff, but they just win. I mean, credit to them. They just win, but
Yeah.
they win and they don't win pretty, and they get it done.
Wins are wins. Charlotte was up late. Memphis scores that touchdown at the very end of the game. Mario Anderson with a huge day, 32 carries, Sprouse. You got to love that, 141 yards and a touchdown. But Deshaun Purdy, in the times we've seen him for Charlotte this year, you got to stick with him the rest of the way. I think he gives you the best chance to win. He throws a great ball. He's athletic. He runs around. And he's just been your only real spark on offense at the quarterback position. You got to roll with him. Hate that they couldn't get the win here. But he might be the future.
Yeah, and then Tulane gets the big win over North Texas. Game got a little close towards the end there. Tulane was up pretty much the whole game, but hey, they decided they want to go blow for blow with North Texas instead of keeping it low scoring, and they got the win 45-37. So Tulane, North Texas, that probably eliminates them at this point. But so now you're down to Army, Navy, Memphis, Tulane in that American. It's going to get real fun.
Yep. Mekhi Hughes, 30 carries, 195 yards and a touchdown. He's a unit. Saw him at UAB this year. We saw him last year when we were down there. If they can continue to pound the rock with him, they are going to be a difficult team to beat because you know what you got in Darian Mensah, but having that just consistent ground attack with a great defense. Now, I know they gave up 37, but North Texas can score, and they can score quick. They got athletes on the outside. DT Sheffield with another big performance for North Texas.
Yeah, and then ECU, they were down early, end up with a big win, 56-34. Interim head coach never fails. Never fails to play better with an interim head coach that first week. And then UConn over Rice. Now, of course, Rice got rid of their head coach after that one.
Yes, they did.
So another change. Rice is an interesting deal. That'll be I think of the current open jobs, ECU, Southern Miss, and Rice. I think ECU is the best job as far as support and all of that. And then, Jeff, I don't even want to talk about UTSA and Tulsa, but we have to talk about it. So we went old school. We put in a ticket at the sports book at the casino, 4-leg parlay that included UTSA minus 6.5. We teased it down a little bit. I think it was minus 8. We took it down to 6.5. They're up 35-7 at halftime. And then they're up, 45-24 in the fourth quarter? And somehow they find a way to lose that game. I mean, that you talk about you're celebrating your winnings. And
you can't do it.
They go out and do something like this, Jeff. I mean,
it's a tale as old as time, Sprouse. Can't count your chickens before they hatch, but my goodness, can you not finish a freaking ball game when you're up that much? I mean, give credit to Tulsa.
Yeah.
Give credit to Tulsa. They never gave up. They just kept battling and battling back. Cooper Lega, 333 yards, 5 touchdowns. Hell, we should have had him in the top 5 players. And then there, Camden Benjamin, 7 catches, 125 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tulsa's got some pieces. They do.
I can't get over that. 46-45. Tulsa gets the win. On to the MAC. We already talked about Bowling Green and Toledo. The MAC, it's still not decided at all. I mean, the only team that hadn't had a loss is still Western Michigan in the MAC. But Ohio starting to look like the Ohio team that, Alex was real high on. I think we were a little bit high on, but 47-16. They just absolutely bludgeoned Buffalo. I mean,
yep. Coleman Owen accounts for 3 touchdowns, 2 receiving, 1 rushing. I mean, Miami of Ohio is starting to look like the team we thought they were.
Yep. Bowling Green looks good. And then,
They
of course, Toledo and NIU not really looking good. NIU's on a skid right now, too. They lose to Ball State.
What did I said when we previewed that game, I said Ball State can score. They've just turned it over. Not a good look for NIU right there.
And then Akron beats Eastern Michigan. I mean, anytime the MAC, anytime you start to believe in somebody, they lose. No matter what. And then anytime you start to think somebody's done, they start rattling off a win or two. It's impossible. I don't know who I would think. Honestly, I'm probably back on the Miami train in the MAC because they've dominated the last few weeks now. I mean, they're putting up points, they're stopping everybody.
I mean, basically right now you got Western Michigan top the conference at 4-0, Miami, Ohio, Bowling Green all at 3-1, and then a bunch of cats at 2-2. I mean, there's still a lot of moving that can happen, but it seems like those top 4 teams are the ones that are going to be battling out for those 2 championship spots.
Well, and the reason all the movement can happen is because it's not like in this conference you got to wait until, okay, we're not going to lose this one, but they could lose to Toledo. Like, they could lose to anybody on any Saturday or any Tuesday, and that's coming up now. Next week, that's coming up.
We got Maction coming up.
Maction, and it gets even scarier out there. So be on the lookout in the MAC. But man, oh man, you can't predict it at all. It's just not a whole lot you could do. Mountain West, you can kind of predict it. Colorado State gets another win.
I'm telling you, they had that favorable schedule down the stretch, holding New Mexico to 6 points.
Yeah, that's that Dampier kid and that New Mexico offense has been scoring, and you thought preseason you thought Colorado State would win some games with their offense scoring a ton of points, but 17-6 is not pretty, but that's a kind of a slugfest that. And they found a way to win, which they haven't done much this year, really over the last couple of years.
Yep, and had a big punt return by Kobe Johnson for a touchdown, Colorado State. So just finding ways to win down this stretch. If they can just keep it going, they're going to find that when you get rid of the divisions, this is what you got. If you have a team with a favorable schedule and they can run the table towards the end, they're going to make it. So if they can continue to do this, Colorado State's going to find themselves in the championship game, and then it's a 1-game winner take all. Who knows what's going to happen?
And that's where, for these other conferences, that's where there's still a chance, right? That's where when you think, okay, it's going to be Boise or UNLV. Well, not if Colorado State gets in there because they're not going to get it if they win the Mountain West. They're not going to get in the playoffs. So there's those outside chances. If you get a Colorado State upsetting a Boise, then you're down to the American. But then what if you have a 2-loss Tulane or a 3, somebody like that, or a Navy team that got beat by 40 points by Notre Dame? You just never know. By the time everything's all said and done, you never know who might be sitting there with 1 loss. Maybe you don't have the greatest resume, but you're like, look, everybody's got 3 or 4 losses. These guys only got 1. Let's put them in. And so there's a lot of things that could happen. Utah State got that win against Wyoming. That was part of our parlay, wasn't it, Jeff?
Yes, it was. Utah State money line.
And then Fresno, back to Fresno State ways, 33-10 over San Jose State. San Jose been struggling as of late. And then Fresno's another one to look out for.
2-1 in the conference.
Yep. I mean, they lost to
Boise.
Boise, right? Now they have UNLV on their schedule. They don't, I don't believe.
So you'd have to look at a couple different tiebreaker scenarios. They went out. They got Hawaii, Air Force, Colorado State, and then finish with UCLA.
So that Fresno State, Colorado State is going to turn out to be a massive game. Massive game. And then if you have some kind of a 3-way tie,
you have
those 2 and then UNLV.
Yeah.
With 1 conference loss.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I have to look at the tiebreakers. It'll go to the
computers. Is that a computer deal?
Well, you'd have, if Fresno State won that game, you'd have Fresno State would
Have the head-to-head
probably
on
get Colorado State out of it. And then what? Then your only common opponent is Boise as far as
Boise, if they went out,
they'll be in. Yeah, they're in.
But then and then Fresno would have the head-to-head over. No, UNLV would have the head-to-head over Fresno.
I thought they didn't play. Because Fresno, I thought you said lost.
No, UNLV beat
UNLV beat Fresno.
Yeah, they beat Fresno.
Oh, well, then it would be, yeah.
Then it'd be UNLV.
Then it would probably be UNLV.
If you have one loss, yeah.
I thought Fresno lost to Boise for some reason.
No, I don't know why I said that. Because I couldn't remember. They avoid Boise. Or no, they don't. I'm all screwed up here.
Damn it, Jeff! It looks like you're looking at it.
Well, I was looking at Fresno
State. Can you read?
No,
you read the paper.
I cannot.
Well, anyway, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, they lost to Boise. They beat Fresno State. This is UNLV.
UNLV, but Fresno State doesn't play Boise. So that's what I'm asking you here, Jeff. Sorry. Is Fresno State going to lose again? That's what I'm asking you.
If they do, Fresno State avoided Boise.
All right.
The Colorado State. Sorry, it's early.
Jeff, let's move on.
Just do it live.
Got it. I'm with you. I mean, Colorado State doesn't play either of them, Boise or UNLV.
So if Colorado State wins out,
they're in.
They're in.
And they could win out. I mean, Fresno's their toughest game left.
That's
correct?
It. Yep. Well, Utah State's not bad.
That's fair.
Air Force is rough.
Bad club. All right. Well, San Diego State took a tough loss to Washington State. 29. San Diego State now is a team that could upset somebody. I don't know who they got left, but they're not a bad ball club. Defensively, they're playing pretty good. And then, don't look at it. I don't know if you'll be able to figure it out. But they can run the ball a little bit. Sean Lewis is starting to get them going a little bit. They're getting some momentum. Look out for San Diego State late in the season. And then I would have told you look out for Nevada, and it's possible that because they were playing this game at 3:30 in the morning.
Well, Lewis didn't play either. I guess he was hurt, or I'm not sure what the deal was there.
Schaefer played. Looked like
Shager.
Shager. Yeah.
It's been a long weekend.
Let's just hang up,
man. 4 touchdowns on the ground. When's the last time a Hawaii quarterback had more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns?
Yeah.
4 on the ground for Shager.
Yeah. Looked like Mike Vick out there. Shager. It is Shager.
I knew it started with an S, though.
Yeah, we got to move on to the Sun Belt. We already talked about Georgia Southern. App State getting in the win column.
Happy for them.
They needed that. Now, just start paying attention, though, out there in the East, because just watch.
Don't say it.
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying by the time it comes down to it, I do have something to say, because we talked about this, Jeff. I don't think we were on the air talking about this. Maybe we were. Yeah, we did. We talked about it at Toledo. But sometimes, with coaches, I get you wanting to fire the coach and this and that. But what I don't like is I don't like the argument that your coach can't win the big game, because the only reason games are big is because they won the previous week, which was also a big game, right? So for Georgia Southern, the Old Dominion game wouldn't have been a big game had he not won the bigger game the week before against James Madison, or the James Madison game wouldn't have been that big if they didn't win the big game the week before against Marshall. So they won 2 big games in a row, and then they lost this one. So you can't say, no, Clay Helton can't win the big game. If you don't have big games unless you win big games, right? I mean, you don't hear the UNLV people saying Barry Odom can't win the big game. I sure hope they're not anyway, because that game wouldn't have been anything if they don't beat the teams they've beaten already this year. So the games get bigger and bigger the more you win. So unfortunately, you're going to lose your last big game, and that's what everybody's going to remember. So you just got to be careful about that argument. Now, if you want to say, yeah, late in the season they struggle, or when they get to November and they can't run the ball or whatever like that, that's a different argument. But anyway, gonna move on from there. James Madison, Southern Miss, little scary, right? Interim head coach again, so got a little closer than it maybe should have been. But James Madison, they've bounced back well this year. For both of their losses, they've come right back and played well at home. that play. We got to get up there at some point, Jeff, quickly.
Yes, we do.
And then we talked about Monroe and South. Arkansas State, you pay attention to them too. But they get the 3-point win over Troy. Troy, I think they're getting better. I do. I mean, they're losing. They're finally scored some damn points. And now, of course, their defense couldn't hold. But you got to watch out for Arkansas State and the fighting brick by bricks.
They're in there. I mean, both sides of the conference are a bunch of one-loss teams. So literally, you have so many different avenues and options that can happen. I still think in the West that Texas State, and we're going to find out. Is it Tuesday? Tomorrow?
Yep.
That's a massive game.
Yes, it is.
Texas State, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns, and fighting Terry Johnsons. See what happens. I still think Texas State is one of the most talented rosters.
No, I agree. That'll be, I mean, that's your game in the West Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. Louisiana at Texas State it is. But let's talk some of these Tuesday games real quick. New Mexico State at FIU. You ever think you'd hear FIU 8-point favorites at home?
That worries me, that line.
Yes, it does. I don't know what's the Keywan Jenkins scenario. I mean, he started last week, but only played like a series or two. He's banged up. Everybody's kind of banged up at this point in the season, and this is where depth really starts playing. I think FIU, I'm going to take them to win this game. I don't think they'll cover 8 points, though.
Agreed.
And then La Tech going to Sam Houston. Sam Houston quarterback playing? Because if he's not, I am tempted to take La Tech to win this thing straight up.
Yeah, that's if you're going to bet on that game, keep an eye out. If Hunter Watson plays, Sam Houston they're dangerous. If he doesn't, I agree.
Yeah, they struggle quite a bit if he doesn't play. Louisiana at Texas State. Jeff, Texas State is 3.5-point favorites. What are you going with there? You were looking at me like you had something on your mind.
No, I hope that stadium is sold out. I hope it's going to be electric. And I think that home field advantage gives the Bobcats what they need to get over the hump. They are the most talented team, but Louisiana's physical. They get after the quarterback. They have those pieces. Big Jordan McLeod game. Don't turn it over. Get the ball to your playmakers. Play point guard. Let's get Ishmael Mahdi going. Let's get that Lincoln pair, that running back room going, and they'll come out on top because I had them to pick to win the conference. I got to stay strong.
Yes, you did. And I think I had them losing in the conference championship to App State. It could still happen. But I like the Cajuns tomorrow night. I do. I just think they just been solid. I mean, you look, their only loss is a 8-point loss to Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're
good.
They're finding ways to win week in and week out. Like you said, they're physical. They play solid. They just play kind of sound. And that's like, they don't do anything. Nothing really is going to wow you. You know what I mean?
I love Woodridge, though, man. He's been playing great football all year.
He's been playing really good ball. So I'm gonna take the Cajuns. I like, and then that opens up that puts the Cajuns at the forefront of not only being in, but more than likely hosting a Sun Belt championship game with a win. So look out. And if they win, I mean, because Texas State, well, who are Texas State's losses? Sam Houston, of course, and then
ODU. Yep,
yeah,
ODU.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Arizona State.
So Louisiana at that point, Texas State will have 2 conference losses, and Louisiana won't have any. So that puts them in the driver's seat for sure. And then now Monroe, they still got to play Louisiana, but it definitely puts Louisiana out in front, and other teams would need a lot of help.
How about that, Sprouse? If the state of Louisiana was playing for a championship berth and it wasn't the team in Baton Rouge?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know how they haven't ran Brian Kelly out of town. The guy's so unlikable. I mean, anytime he talks to the media, he says something wild, and then he's to me
punching the table,
punching the desk, and then but then, when they're in the recruiting room, he's doing this little stupid dance moves. It's like, come on, bro, just be the same guy,
Very
But
fraudulent vibes.
anyway, we got a few voicemails to get to. I don't know if we'll get to all of them here today, but you guys keep calling that hotline with your immediate reactions. Hope to hear some Cajun fans, Texas State fans after tomorrow night. But call the hotline at 615-900-4286. Let's see what we got.
Group of Five guys, what's going on? I know it's been a couple weeks. It's been a rough few weeks up in Laramie. Haven't called in because haven't had a whole lot to say. 3 losses in a row now. Lost another game to Utah State. But on the bright side, Jeff said at the beginning of the year, not too sure about Evan Svoboda. Well, we made a quarterback change. Brought in redshirt freshman Caden Anderson from Texas, and he looked good. I know Utah State didn't have Jalen Royals, but that doesn't affect their defense. We were finally able to move the ball a little bit. Also, I don't want to hear anything about injuries. This is about the most injured Pokes team I've ever seen. We moved the ball a little bit. 3 games left. 4 games left. I still give us a chance in probably 2 of them. So I don't know. I know I don't sound like it, but feeling a little bit up after watching that offense look a little more efficient. And he's a redshirt freshman, so I don't see him hitting the transfer portal. I'm looking forward to watching him again for another couple of years. Go Pokes!
Yeah, I like when Wyoming's good and top of the Mountain West, right? So I think at this point of the season, you play some of your younger guys, see what you got. That way, you get some live bullets going into next year.
Well, and that was the recipe last year, was making that quarterback change to the freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And you see what you got going into the spring too. And
Yeah.
now you want to get everybody game action. So now okay, what's our priority as far as NIL or roster retention, or if somebody wants to transfer, who do we try hard to keep? Who do we not really try hard to keep? Who do we think we can keep? Who do we think is for sure gone? And then what do we need in the portal or in the JUCO class or in the high school class to come in and play and contribute right away? Because you got to check on these freshmen and sophomores. Like, hey, look, we might have recruited them high. We might have thought they were going to be good. We've seen a little bit in practice, but let's see them for real. So we really know.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Ben. Just keep it rolling.
What's up, guys? Zach Green here. I'm just going to pause here for a second. So if there's any haters out there, and I know they are, I know they're not personal haters, but Liberty haters out there, I'm just going to give you guys about a 5-second pause just so you can laugh your head off, all right? So go ahead right now. Anyway, not much to say about that game. First off, I do want to say I was not ducking the show, not ducking making a call right after the game. I literally did not watch the game until tonight, Friday night. I stayed off of social media. I ignored texts from Liberty people. I did everything I could to not find out about this game, and I was successful. Did not know the score, did not know who won. I did get a couple of suspicious texts. The way my phone works, I don't see the contents of the text until I intentionally open them. Got a couple of suspicious texts from people that don't always text me after games, and that made me nervous. And turns out I was very, very right to be nervous. 27-24 loss against one of the worst teams in the FBS. But shout out to Kennesaw State. This was not a gimmicky game. They did what they needed to do to win. They played better than us. We got a bunch of penalties that we should not have gotten. The offense did not play well. The defense gave up some big plays. Salter made one really bad throwing decision and another kind of lazy throwing decision, although he had a good game with his legs. Good game on the ground. It was cool to see that. Had some nice downfield passes going. Cooley didn't really do much tonight. But just a rough game, man. But we can't get too down because we're 5-1. We're still very much in this conference championship hunt. I mean, obviously, I've not really wanted to talk about the playoff that much for 2 or 3 weeks now. And obviously that's out of the question, but there's still a conference championship here. We're still in that mix. We've got a big game Wednesday night versus Jack State. It's going to be really tough because they look like a buzzsaw. But if we play the best game we can play, if we play the football that we played for the last half of the ECU game, the last half of the UTEP game, when I really felt like we were starting to get things rolling before these 4 out of 5 weeks off, we can win a bunch of games the rest of this year and hoist that trophy again. But will the team, will the coaches take this to heart and make the changes they need to make? Remains to be seen. We'll see. This is a different team from last year. They're not as good as last year, but they still have a lot in the tank that they can do. And we've got a great coaching staff and some great players that can turn this thing around. So I'm going to be with them. I'm riding with the Flames.
Appreciate you, Zach. Yeah, they got everything they want in front of them as far as conference stuff goes. So take care of business in conference and see where it ends up.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, right? Playoff would have been not even on anybody's radar, really, last year. So,
yeah, appreciate you, Zach. As always, we're gonna keep powering through them. Some of these are short, not this one, but we're trying to knock them all out.
Group of 5 guys, Terry Johnson here, and man, that Boise State UNLV game was awesome, man. It's funny, man. It's frustrating actually. I was telling my dad to stay up and watch the game, to watch Ashton Genty. He never seen Genty play live, and so I'm telling him, hey, watch the game. It's a good game. And he turned it off after the first quarter, which he was in the Eastern time zone, so I guess I kind of understand that. But he said, oh, this is a boring game. I'm telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, you stayed up to watch LSU versus Ole Miss, and that game ended 20-23 or something like that. And you ain't gonna watch a Heisman contender. And had it been Travis Hunter or anybody else, he wouldn't care. But he didn't care about little old Boise State. It's just frustrating because everybody says, "Oh, Genty doesn't deserve to win the Heisman because he didn't have a good performance." He got 130 yards, which is better than like a fourth of the country. Even though that's not his best performance, he still outperforms every running back. The man deserves the Heisman. Even though I think Travis Hunter had a good game this past week too. I mean, those two are top 2, and the narrative that if you have a bad game, you Ashton Genty, you get like less than 200 yards, everybody's gonna write you off, which is frustrating, man. But either way, great game. UNLV could have won that game, but I think Boise State's pretty much in the driver's seat for the conference championship and the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But how about the Cajuns in the top, getting some votes in the top 25? Now I think that's rap, Poison. It's cool to see, but I don't like to believe the hype, but I'm trying to be more positive. Texas State, me and Creme Brulee, nothing but respect, but it's gonna be nothing but blood and guts as we play on this Tuesday. And I think this is the top 10 Group of 5 game of the year, in my opinion. I think this is gonna be great. Texas State should be like 6-1, but it had dropped some few games, so I'm not taking this game for granted. It's gonna be tough going in, and they've never beaten us. Over a decade, they've never beaten us. I remember playing in San Marcos over about in 2014, a decade ago, playing over there for the first time. Great stadium, really good fans, aside from bad eggs here and there, but got number of respect. Hopefully we can pull out the win. And what if we break in the top 25? That'd be fun. But in the end, good luck, Creme Brulee and Texas State. God bless Group of 5. God bless Group of 5 guys. Go Cajuns.
Appreciate the Terry. Going to be a hell of a matchup tomorrow.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Should be a big time. I hope the Texas State fans, and I think they will. I hope they show out.
I agree. Well, let's keep it rolling. We got 3 left, and they're all relatively short, so I think we'll knock them out.
Group of 5 guys, Josh Bevel here. I honestly will keep it short and sweet. I've got no words. Let's get back to work. That was pitiful. Hail Southern.
It's rough. Outing.
Boy, they were riding high, weren't they?
They were.
Well,
it's just
you back on the horse. You're right. You're
still in it.
Still got everything right in front of you.
Things can happen. Take care of your business moving forward. Everybody wants French out of there, though. I know that. on the social medias.
Yeah.
It got you there. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
All right. Keep rolling.
Group of 5 guys. Morgan here, resident Tulane fan. Ooh, boy. Loved what I saw from the fellas today. 45-37 over North Texas, and honestly wasn't that close. Kind of gave up some yards and score going on a shell defense late in the game. But man, this was one of my favorite wins of the year. Was coming in, breaking up a homecoming party, and rolling out of there with a W. Two things I want to touch on real quick. Number one, because he won't do it for himself, I'm going to speak up for him. Mekhi Hughes is absolutely a top 5 running back in the country. Now got, went for 200 yards today. Now got basically 1,000 total yards and 11 touchdowns on the season. He's going to probably double his touchdown count from last year at this rate. And he's one of the best. And he's just a sophomore. I think people don't even realize that. Just a sophomore and he's doing this. So that's one. And I also got to shout out the offensive line. That was easily their best performance of the season, just creating huge holes. And, North Texas wanted to stop the run, try to make us one-dimensional, and they couldn't do that from the word go. And the second point I want to make is this is the mark of a really good team for winning games in a multitude of different ways. We blew out South Florida and UAB with our close win and wake-up call against Rice, and now we go in. It's always hard to win on the road, obviously, so we go in and beat a really, really high-caliber offense. I think Chandler Morris is definitely a future NFL QB, maybe certainly a spot starter at the very, very least. So, hat tip to him today. He gave us some fits at times, but again, just a really impressive W. And I'm sitting here, now we're bowl eligible, but obviously we got much bigger fish to fry. A quick turnaround now going into Charlotte on Thursday night. Sitting pretty after a big W. I got my feet up, and I'm going to say one last thing and hang up. Roll, dang, wave. Love you guys. Hope you're having fun up in bigger in Toledo, Ohio. So hope you're having fun and can't wait to hear the shows this week. All righty. Bye.
Appreciate you, Morgan. Tulane, man. They're good.
What I like about Tulane's performance best is they did what they do, right? They just ran the ball. Mensa only threw it, 13, 14 times?
Something like that.
10 of 13. I mean, so they didn't – a lot of teams, I feel like when they play a team like North Texas that throws it all over and just goes fast, they panic and they think they think because they go score in a minute and a half, like you got to score fast. And like, you don't. Keep that damn offense off the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just –
there's one thing we know about John Sumrall. He doesn't panic.
No, not a panicking guy. He is not like a toddler in a swimming pool, Jeff.
No, he is not.
Like some of these defensive backs. Unlike, I don't know if you caught any of the NFL this weekend. By the way, Dolphins, my God. Tua comes back. He plays okay, but
guys over.
Then he drops a damn snap. That guy, it's Dolphins fan stuff. But then, did you see the Bears game? See all their defensive backs?
Oh, man, that was
completely blow a Hail Mary.
Great. That was great.
You only thought that was great because you hate Caleb Williams so much.
Oh, no, well, that's part of it. But it was that, and then just to see them talking trash to the
in the middle of the play,
and then he realized
the same DB that tapped it up in the air.
I also love that was a perfectly executed Hail Mary. Jaden Daniels runs around, buys time. You get the crowd in the middle. You got the guy in the front. You got the guy in the back.
Yep.
Just all you need is a tip ball. That's
basketball, man.
That's it.
That's all you do. Yeah, but
let's get to our last one. We'll get out of here.
First time, long time. Name is Cade. Interacted with you guys on social media a little bit. I'm just a little bit salty. 4 times this year you've had UNLV in these top team performances posts on Facebook, and not once have you had Boise State on that list. Not when they beat a good Georgia Southern, not when they dominated the P4 Washington State, not when they came up big against conference foes Utah State and Hawaii. And now, when Boise State came together as a team to defeat your darling of the season, UNLV, no tricks, no treats, just good football. They put 8 or 9 guys in the box to slow Genty down, and Maddox, Madsen, Camper, Louder, Strawn, Bolt, and the O-line all stepped up to win the game. 4 times UNLV has been featured on that list. They're number 4 in your power poll. You said it was likely the biggest G5 game of the year, and with 42,000 plus fans there, Boise beats them. They don't make that list this week. It's quite in line with the respect they've been shown all year. Yeah, a little credit. They have been on top of the Group of 5 power poll for a little while, as they should be. But I just have to say, I think it's time you, with the Group of 5 guys, and all the rest of the Group of 5 fans, get behind Boise State and give them the full measure of respect that they deserve. They've been disrespected and doubted all year long. This, the first year of the 12-team playoff, we as the G5 fans need our best to represent us. Those frauds over Liberty disappointed and embarrassed us last year, and that cannot happen again. Boise is our best chance. If the G5 wants any respect in this changing atmosphere of college football, we need to make a statement. Now, it's time to band together and collectively cheer our very best into that 12-team playoff. Go Big Blue!
Appreciate the call.
I agree with basically everything he said. The only thing I'll say about not being in the top team performances, it's kind of like, it's kind of like we expect them to be that. The top team performances usually are teams that it was like an upset or a blowout when we didn't think they were going to really do that. It is fair. We've also now, keep in mind, for about the first 6 weeks of the year, Ashton Genty was our top individual performer. So he hadn't been on there anymore either, because it's like, okay, we can't just keep putting the same guy on there. Now, to address the point about, sticking together, I 100% agree with that. I want Boise to win the rest of the way, because I truthfully believe Boise can win possibly multiple playoff games. I really do. And I just want to see it. I want to see Genty against who, because damn well, whoever they play, everybody's going to pick against Boise. Maybe Game Day is going to get on there, and they're going to, all 5 of them are just going to pick whoever. And I just want to see it done. Now, it's one of those things, how we were talking about earlier in the show with, Alabama and Georgia and the commissioners and the referees, like kind of making sure that they win and things like that. I wish we had like a Group of 5 crew that could make sure Boise wins the rest of the way. We can't have them slip up and then get somebody who can't win, against one of the P4s in the playoff. But we were talking about this on the car ride to Toledo from Detroit, Jeff. You know what's going to happen. You're going to get an Army and Boise State in, and they're going to put them against each other in the first round.
That's exactly right.
Your 5-12 game is going to be freaking Boise State. It's going to be Army at Boise State. Book it. Book it.
Well, that's if Army wins out.
Yeah, it's if Army wins out. Yeah.
They'll have to play somebody in the championship. That's going to be pretty good. But
yeah,
appreciate the call, Kate. I'm all fine if you want to throw shade at us. That's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, the only thing I'll say is, like, we've been on Genty all off season.
We have.
We've been saying that Boise's going to be one of the favorites. Now, there was a quarterback controversy in the beginning of the season. Didn't know who you were going to go to. Just be careful. Just be careful. And I don't know what your take was last year, but the same thing you're wanting from the entire Group of 5 community is what we were asking everybody to do for Liberty last year, and most of the Boise's faithful didn't. Doesn't matter what happened in that game, whether they had the performance they did or whether they played them tight. You're wanting what we were saying everybody should be on board with. So you can't ask for stuff if you didn't give it in return.
You're right, because we said, I don't care if you thought they deserved it or not. They were there, and you needed Liberty to we all needed to root for Liberty to perform for the perception of it. But I agree, we all need to pull for Boise or whoever it ends up being, because you want the perception. You don't want all the politicians and former Notre Dame staffers or whoever the hell is on these decision-making teams to say, well, Liberty got blown out, and then Boise or whoever, they didn't perform. I don't think we need them anymore. I don't think now if they go in there and win a game or two, you can bet your ass we'll have an argument at least. So, but I do agree we should have that. But yes, I also agree. Yeah, y'all didn't back Liberty last year. But anyway,
together, boys
was that the last
girls.
voicemail, Jeff?
That was it. Take us out of here.
Went a little long today, guys. Apologize for that. Apologize for being a little. I think I was a little sloppy today. I won't make excuses for it, but we'll see you Wednesday morning after 3 big time Tuesday games. Make sure you hit the follow button on all the social media platforms. Hit the subscribe button on all the podcast streaming platforms. Hit the like button, leave a 5-star rating, leave a review, tell your family and friends all about us, or you can go to group5guys.com. Get you some Group of 5 Guys merch. Hope you have a great Monday. Hope you have a great, fantastic, amazing week. We'll see you Wednesday morning.